everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down here if you like this kind of content. Okay, so this has been a very long season of Sister Wives. We have seen the Browns going from property to property, moving, boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff, lots of stuff, and a lot of movement. They moved from Las Vegas to Arizona. During that time, in the beginning of the season, if you can think all the way back to January, there was issues where they hadn't sold all of their properties in Las Vegas. There was concern about, how are they going to be able to afford all of this stuff that they're dealing with? Christine owned a property in Flagstaff. They had 4 homes on the market in Las Vegas. And then there was the merry-go-round of rentals. In fact, all of the ladies that rented ended up having to find new homes. Janelle moved from one rental to another. Meri was forced to move from her first rental into a new home. And then shortly after getting into her new home, we saw what happened last week where she was afraid that she might have to leave due to what was going on in the brush. And then thankfully she didn't have to evacuate. But throughout this process, we've also seen Kody sort of spar with all of the wives. The beginning of the season, we saw him going back and forth with Christine because Kody decided at Christmas time that he was going to tell the family that he wanted to build one big house. Now, Christine was totally against this idea because she said that she enjoyed the autonomy that she has in her home when she's not living with her wives. She didn't want to have Kody coming and going and seeing him with other women. She also didn't want to have to share her space or have anyone sort of interrupting her life. Fair enough. But Kody seemed to be really upset that Christine, he believed, sort of polluted the brain of Robin. Well, as soon as he gets over the issue with Christine, then enter the issue with Robin, which has been this ongoing thing for I believe, 1 million episodes. I mean, it's probably 5, but it feels like 1 million. Robin and Kody have been sparring about what they're going to do for their next property because her rental home that they had gone into when they got to Flagstaff went up on the market. They did not buy it. And so while they were searching for a new rental, Kody realized that there was nothing for them to rent, so they had to buy. And it's been a lot of back and forth, and Robin reluctantly agreeing to sign for this property. Ultimately, they find a home that has 6 bedrooms, and I think it has 1 million square feet. I don't know, I'm just kidding. It's 6,000 square feet. And it came with a price tag of around $900,000. Coincidentally, it happens to be near the property at Coyote Pass, where they were planning to build their homes, which to this date has not been developed. Her property that she purchases is about a few blocks away from Christine. Now, in the middle of this, there's been this quietness that is Meri. The very few times that we have seen Meri on this season has been when she got into an argument with Robin. When they were picking out the lots of where they were going to build, Kody told her that she was going to build back in the trees. Meri said that she didn't know if she wanted to live back in the trees. And then they all took that as her saying she didn't want that, or that that's what she wanted. And then it created this whole thing where everyone was arguing. Robin stormed off, Meri stormed off, everyone was unhappy. Both of them had to move at the same time. It was just a lot of stress. They tried to sort of remedy that situation, but it all came down to Kody said during that argument that Meri makes everyone bow down to her and that she's always manipulating people to get her way or using her position in order to have the ladies, what he said, she wasn't going to be happy until the ladies were bowing down at her feet. He said that he was basically allowing her, this spot and giving her the home that she wanted, which was 1 million square feet, to keep her happy. In a podcast just a few months ago, he said that part of keeping everyone happy is making sure that they get what they want. And, even though Meri only has herself, somehow he justifies allowing, Meri living in a home that's 4,500 square feet or 6,000 square feet, $4,500 a month for a rental, right? A lot of people this season have been on one of two camps, either pro Meri or pro Kody. Most people will say this season that Kody has been at odds with all of the wives, and it's just been one wife to another of backing the bus over. We've been seeing a lot of him pinning each other against each other, and we also are starting to notice these collapsing of relationships. He's not getting along with his formerly favorite wife, Robin. He's sparring with Christine. And even in an episode 2 weeks ago, Christine said that they still are not like on the same page, and she refuses to talk about the one house idea because Kody is still upset with her about that. Okay? Then he's been back and forth with Robin, and he said that this has been the hardest part of their relationship. They've been at odds for at least 6 months. But the Meri stuff has been sort of in the background. We saw that one argument, and in the beginning of the season, she talked about how she needed to sort of separate herself and have her space because she actually doesn't, things aren't good with her and Kody, and it was hard for her to be around the other wives and see their relationships because they were happy, and she was not at a place where she wanted to be with Kody, and Kody wasn't ready to be there. And Kody, the season, was basically saying that, you know, he was going to inch his way along. Well, this week, we're going to finally see these two. In the teaser, way back in December, they released Kody and Meri were actually in counseling. And during the counseling session, you hear Meri say to the therapist, Kody is not in this relationship. And she says, this marriage is over because Kody doesn't want to move forward. And then Kody says coming up this week, that he's tired of trying to do anything for Meri because she perpetually makes herself the victim. And that he admits the two of them are in a family, but they are not acting married, and they don't have a relationship at all like a husband and wife. They're like distant family members. So Meri wants to move forward. Kody is not willing to move forward. And then that's had a lot of people go, well, why does Meri stay? Well, all these like weeks that we've been covering the show, I've had people that are from this world explain to me that Meri likely stays in this relationship due to her beliefs about Kody needing to have X amount of wives to get into the celestial kingdom, which is typically 4 or 3 or 4. And then after that, any additional wife just helps him get higher and higher with a better chance. But not only that, is if she were to leave, she would not only walk away from Kody, but she would also leave her family, her mother, all of her relatives, all of her siblings, because leaving polygamy, you leave everything. It's very rare that when someone leaves that they are able to walk away and maintain the relationships within the family. And generally the children that are in the family will stay with the people that remain in polygamy. And then the person who stays will typically pin the children away from the one that leaves. So Meri would become the outcast. It's pretty clear she's already the outcast, if you ask me. She has a humongous house. They don't gather at her house. Even when she offers it, they don't even acknowledge that she has the house. When everyone was arguing about the property, they all took Kody's side or Robin's side. They did not take Meri's side. And throughout this season, it's been pretty clear that Meri has no relationship whatsoever with her sister wives or with Kody. She actually admitted in the very beginning of the season that she spends almost all of her time by herself. So knowing this season is wrapping up, there's probably going to be like a 2 or 3 more episodes. I can't imagine it's going to go on more. There's one for coming up this Sunday night where they actually start getting into the nitty gritty, where she admits this marriage is over and he admits that he can't move forward with her because she won't accept responsibility for whatever it is that he thinks she needs to accept responsibility for. And then she has been posting sort of these cryptic things on Instagram, like, you are enough, you're good enough, you're smart enough, you're strong enough, you're beautiful enough, you're kind enough, you're brave enough, blah, blah, blah. And then this one was posted a couple days ago, just yesterday actually, was walk away from anything that gives you bad vibes. There's no need to explain it or make sense of it. Meri's been posting these sorts of cryptic messages on her her LLR Meri Brown page for quite some time. And it's interesting because, you know, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We only see them for filming. There's a lot of speculation that this relationship only exists during filming, that otherwise they would not see each other. There's also sort of speculation that she only sticks around because of filming. I would say it's not likely that it's because of filming. It might be one reason, but it's primarily, I'm assuming, because of the belief system that she grew up in, was groomed in, and she doesn't know any different. And her mom is a staunch supporter of this. So if she left, she could lose her mother, and she's close to her family and her siblings. So Meri has been making these sort of vague statements for months and months and months, teasing that this relationship is over, but then on Instagram and on Twitter saying that she's a sister wife for life. Will she ever leave? Here's the thing. If your marriage is over and you stay just because you don't want to lose your family, that's really sad. And I feel like Meri doesn't really understand that there's a whole lot of people out there that would just think that she should go and she would be happier. And Meri doesn't understand that everything that she's been taught by this church is a lie, because there's no such thing as this celestial place. It doesn't exist in the way that they think it does. And her leaving is not going to send all of them down to the place where it's fiery. Because that's really what they say. Oh, if you leave, then you're going to put us all in, you're all going to I'm going to subject you to having to hang out with the red guy downstairs. And that's just not how it works. And that's not true. And people that typically leave this world will say, I woke up and I realized that staying there was worse and it was more hell than actually leaving. So she could be afraid for leaving for a number of reasons, but she might already be gone. She hasn't posted a photo with Kody on any sort of social media in more than a year. January 2019 is the last time she posted anything on her Instagram related to Kody. She rarely posts any photos with her sister wives. In fact, the last time she posted anything was around Thanksgiving. That's it. I think it's fair to say that Meri has absolutely no connection to this family except when cameras are rolling. And she's very busy selling her leggings and doing that thing. She's got a Facebook group with 95,000 people buying all kinds of her stuff. So for all intents and purposes, she's, off doing her own thing, selling her stuff. But, this storyline of are they, aren't they, what's going to happen, isn't going to happen, it's been going on for so long that it's starting to get tired, and I think people are tired of it. And it's complicated because she might not ever leave. But we might get a better indication of what's happening now. And she certainly said this week in the teaser that Kody says that this marriage is over. So Kody, my question is if this marriage is over, why not let her go? Kody could let her go. He could actually say, Meri, you're gone. He could put her out. He even said that he rushed into his marriage with Meri and maybe shouldn't have married her. Imagine hearing that as a wife where you have a child who is, now in her 20s. I probably shouldn't have maybe I shouldn't have married you. Maybe I shouldn't have had your daughter. Whatever, Kody. Just let her go if you don't want her, Kody. Let her walk away with dignity. But instead, the family is punishing her. She is still being punished for the catfishing thing, which is insane because Kody basically cheats on Meri every single day of his life. He is allowed to have 3 other women, 3 other relationships, and kiss other people. Meri, who is lonely, admittedly spends most of her time by herself. She can't have anything. And even finding a friend online is against the rules, and it's a bigger sin than him doing what he does. Because in the world of polygamy, the man is never wrong. It's a really twisted world. It's not healthy for anyone. And Meri, if you listen, I doubt you do, can you just go? There are so many of us out here that are cheering you on, that want the best for you and think you deserve better. And I think this toxicness that's existing in this marriage not only is on Kody's end, but also on yours. So part of the thing that I've seen this season is that Meri is pulling rank and almost trying to punish everyone else and doing this back and forth of I have control, no, Kody has control, because she's unhappy. And when one marriage is unhappy in that sort of situation, it's going to affect the whole family. So just leave. Just go. But the problem is Robin says she doesn't want to be in the family without her. At some point, I get the sense that Kody's going to end up with none of his wives. What do you think? Is this marriage over? Should Meri go? Are all these cryptic things on Instagram actually real? Or are they just doing this to make us crazy? I mean, at some point, this has to end. They can't stay together. Other wives leave all the time in this world. Constantly. Husbands kick these wives out all the time. Constantly. I've talked to tons of wives that have been kicked out. I've talked to plenty of people that have come from this world now to know that's what is going on here. It could change. It could actually change. And either Kody doesn't want to because he doesn't want to give up his spot in heaven, or Meri just doesn't want to leave because she's too attached to the family. But I don't know how you could be attached to a family that doesn't even want you there, Meri. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are, and we'll see what happens on Sunday at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye, guys.